If you guys want coins for FC24, make sure you check out MMOEXP.com. Their link is down in the description. They're very fast, they're very cheap, they're very reliable, and if you use my code Rema, you can get yourself a lovely 5% discount. So what's up guys, it's Ash here and welcome back to a brand new video. I hope you guys are all having a fantastic day so far. In today's video guys, we do have my updated 4-3-2-1 custom tactics and player instructions to help you guys out if you are struggling in FC24. As always guys, please be sure to drop this video a thumbs up as it does really help me out with the YouTube algorithm. Also, don't forget to sub to the channel if you are new and turn on notifications. And obviously, if you do want any coins, make sure to check out MMOEXP. Their link is down in the description. And if you use my code REMA, you will get a 5% discount on your order. And with all that aside, guys, let's get right into the video. Okay then, guys. So starting off with the custom tactics for the 4-3-2-1. For the defensive style, I like to have it on balanced as I feel like it does give me the best control over my defense. So if I want to be super aggressive and then press my opponent, for example, I can do that. And then if I want to drop off and maybe be a little bit more passive in my approach, I can also do that. So balance does give me the best control. If you guys want to use some pressure tactics because that is something you prefer, that is also absolutely fine. Now moving on to the defensive width, guys, I have this on 45. The reason we have it on 45 is so we're primarily narrow and compact through the middle to block out all those attacks, and it makes it much more difficult for our opponent to just attack us right through the middle. We do have to maintain some width, however, so we don't want to make this number crazy low like in the 20s, because it's still important to cover the wider area in case an opponent goes down the wing, which in most cases an opponent will do, because that is the most effective area to attack most of the time. So yeah, you want to be nice and balanced in my opinion, which is why this the width is good. Now moving on to the depth, guys, there are a few different options you can use. One of the most popular ones is obviously 71 depth. Now the reason people like this is because you get that automatic press from the AI, which makes it very difficult for your opponent to attack as their players are constantly marked. It's very congested through the middle and it's very overpowered, to be honest with you. Now if you're like me and you don't like using this and you want to have more control, something like 60 is great, as you still keep that higher defensive line, you just don't have that crazy automatic press, so you have a bit more control over when you press your opponent. So 60 depth is like my ideal depth. If this is still too high for you guys, you can lower it even more, and that is absolutely fine. It's just about something that works for you, to be honest with you. Moving on to the build-up play, guys, we have this on balanced. Now, the reason I suggest balanced is because it is the most controlled and the most varied way to build up the play, in my opinion. With balance, you can play slowly if you want, you can play fast if you want, or you can mix it up. It basically allows you to pick and choose when and where you use each type of build-up, which is why I like it so much. Now, moving on to the chance creation, guys, we do have this on direct passing. Now, the reason direct passing is so important is because it's the only setting which will consistently allow you to break through those park the bus defenses. When you use direct passing, your attackers will make these runs, the opponent's defenders will follow that run, and then once the defenders have overcommitted, the attacker will track back so you can cut back to them. So pretty boring tactic, let's be real, but it's very effective nonetheless. Moving on to the attacking width, guys, we have this on 62 at the moment. This might seem way too high, you can lower it if you want, but I've just found it much easier to attack because sometimes my players get a little bit wider and stuff like that. So, you know, in this game you do have to use a bit of width, in my opinion. That being said, if you want to lower it because you don't like it, that is absolutely fine. Just use whatever you want, to be honest with you guys. For the players in the box, I have this on 6 at the moment. This is so we can get a few players into the box to finish off our chances, but we don't overcommit everybody. And then for the corners and the free kicks, guys, we have these both on 1, but again, this is a preference thing. You can do whatever you want with that. Now, moving on to the player instructions, guys. On the striker, we have them on stay central and mixed attack. Now, we have them on stay central because we don't really want them drifting out into the wider areas. They are our strikers, so it is important that they do primarily stay in the middle areas so that they can always be relied upon. I don't suggest balance width on this player. I also prefer mixed attack as opposed to getting behind, as I feel like you get more out of the player. Sometimes they'll help with the build-up, other times they'll get in behind. I just feel like you get more out of them, which is why I do prefer it. That being said, if you want to have this player on get in behind because that is something you prefer, that is also absolutely fine, guys. Now moving on to this right forward here, we have them on stay central and get in behind. We have them on stay central so that they primarily stay in the more narrow pockets of space by default. This is really effective with this formation, I think, because it gets the players into that awkward place where they're not crazy wide and they're not crazy narrow. It's just that really awkward space which is difficult to mark for defenders, meaning you can play a lot of passes directly into them and it's often not going to get cut out. I don't suggest balance width because it makes it feel more like a 4-3-3 and they just hug the sidelines a bit too much, which is not something I want. So stay central's better in my opinion, and then get in behind. So we do utilize this player's pace to get in behind the defensive lines, which people like to use, which are quite high. And yeah, this is probably the most effective setup there. Now for the left forward guys, we actually just have them on comeback on defense. This is because it'll make it defend in a 4-man midfield. Now the 4-man midfield is great because it has really good coverage of both the narrow areas and the wider areas. So we can cover the narrow areas with 2 centre mids, and then we'll cover the wider areas with a right mid and left mid. So this player here on comeback on defense will defend as a left mid in the 4-4-2 shape, making you nice and solid defensively. Moving on to the left centre mid guys, I use a more box-to-box style midfielder, so somebody that will attack and defend for us. So on this player, I just pop them on the default settings. We leave them on the default settings because, like I said, they are box-to-box, so we don't really want to restrict them into doing a specific thing. We don't just want them staying back defending all the time, for example, and we don't always want them flying forward. So it's very contextual, and having them on the default settings kind of just lets them do whatever they need to do. A high work rate works really well with this because you get the maximum contribution in both the attack and the defense. The only thing I will suggest is popping them on cover center so that they will defend as one of the center mids in the 4-4-2 shape that we've set up. Now for the middle center mid guys, I use a more defensive minded midfielder. So on this player, we just have them on stay back while attacking and cover center. Stay back while attacking, of course, because we don't really want this player flying forward if he is a defensive player. So we just leave him to stay back and give us that balance in the midfield. And then we also do pop him on cover center. So like the left center mid, he will defend as one of the 2 center mids in the 4-4-2 shape, which is what we want. Now moving on to this right centre mid guys, because I said it defends in a 4-man midfield, this player will actually defend as a right midfielder when you pop them on the cover wing instruction. This means you can actually use an attacking minded player, as you don't have to worry too much about their defensive capabilities, as they won't have to defend as this right centre mid. They'll actually defend as a right mid, like I said. So somebody like Griezmann's great because they still have that high work rate, so they will transition back when necessary, but they will also attack very quickly as well. So we have this player on get forward and get into the box across as they are an attacker, and we do want them to actually commit forward on the break. Moving on to the fullbacks guys, whichever one is your most attacking minded one, doesn't matter which one, in my case it's the left back in Havertz. We pop them on balanced attack and overlap. We do this to give us an extra option. It widens out the attack, it stretches out the opponent's defense and gives you another angle to attack from. So this is really useful and really underrated. A lot of people still don't use this. It's very good, especially if you've got a fullback like Havertz who has that whipped pass play style, as you know, often you can get the ball out to them and then whip the ball in the box, for example. Really good. And then for the more defensive minded fullback, it might be a right back, might be a left back, again, doesn't matter. Just have them on stay back and overlap, so you always have at least 3 defenders back at a time, but when you send them on the run forward, they'll make the overlapping runs to give you that extra width guys. As for the 2 centre backs, we leave them alone, of course, we don't touch them. And the goalkeeper, you can pop them on comes to crosses and sweeper keeper if you would like, but I just leave them both on the balance setting. And yeah, that is basically it for the video guys. If you have enjoyed or found this video useful, please be sure to drop it a thumbs up, as it does really help me out. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you are new and turn on those notifications. And like I said, if you do want any cheap FC24 coins, make sure you check out the link in the description and use my code Rema to get yourself a 5% discount. And yeah guys, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will catch you all in the next video. Peace out guys.